To Daily Focus, and I first want to thank each of you who prayed for that young teenager yesterday, and she is doing much better. Got a great report from the neurologist, and we're just praying that things will go forward as planned, and she'll be on medications for a little bit, but they think they have it under control, and we're thankful for that. And thank you for joining me for Daily Focus. I am always honored by those that join me live and those who join me throughout the day. Let me encourage you, if it's a blessing to you, to share it with somebody and invite them to participate. From the last time I knew, this is going not just to hundreds, but really even over 1,000 people each day. And we're humbled by that, but we're thankful that I have the privilege to share God's Word and what He has said with so many. And it's only possible because you join me and you share it, and that's important. Proverbs chapter 22, we've been talking about that, and Proverbs chapter 22 is really going to take us to an abrupt stop and a real change as it goes forth for the rest of chapter 22, really into chapter 24. And I'm going to introduce that change of direction in Proverbs a little bit. But I want to talk about two paths. If you caught any of the Democrat or DNC convention at all, you saw Kasich, who used to be a Republican candidate for president and now endorsing the Democrat president nominee, but he gave an illustration. He stood at a fork in the road, and he said that we as a nation are at a point where we have to choose which road. I disagree with him. I think that was last year, and I think America chose the right path, and we chose a path where our military was strengthened, our economy was strengthened, freedom was given back to the pulpit, prayer was put back in public schools by executive order. We have watched energy independence in America. We have watched a wonderful path of blessing in America. And so I disagree that we're at that point now. I think we were at that point last year, and America made the right choice. And I believe that we just need to stay on the path that has been amazing for America. Certainly, coronavirus and the hijacking of it has created a lot of confusion and controversy in America. But things are going forward. And so, but when we get to Proverbs chapter 22, we kind of at the very end here look at the fact that Proverbs is telling us we really have two paths. We have the path of wisdom, which reflects the character of Christ, and then we have all kinds of alternative paths. But there is really only one choice. There is really only one path to follow. And so we'll start reading in verse number 13. The slothful man saith, there is a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. The mouth of strange women is a deep pit. The strange woman there is referring to an adulteress. I think a few days ago or several weeks ago, we came across that word where it was really talking about a foreigner. But here it is really back to the normal interpretation, which is an adulterous woman. So it says the mouth of an adulterous woman is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of the Lord shall fall therein. In other words, people who follow something that God hates, when people embrace a lifestyle that God abhors, they're going to be susceptible to that path. They're going to easily be influenced by the strange woman. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. And so this text that we're going to be dealing with really hinges on verse number 15, where it says foolishness is bound. It's not evident. It doesn't sometimes show up. Foolishness is indicative. It is bound in the heart of a child. This is their natural bent. We talked about last week that train up, or was it yesterday, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he'll not depart. That's not a promise, that's a principle, saying that we have to train. Why? Because foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. And then God tells us the way to train children is through discipline, is through spanking. It's through helping them understand that this path hurts, and that we instruct them that that path is dangerous, that that path leads to consequences, that path leads to pain. And it is the reminder to not follow that path, but to get on the path of wisdom, the path of obedience. And so he gives to us several illustrations. In verse 13, he says, lazy people make excuses as to why they can't be responsible, why they won't be responsible, why they can't get done what they need to get done, why they don't apply themselves to the important task at hand, why they can't make the right priority the priority. And so he says, a slothful man says, there's a lion without. In other words, I can't risk getting out of my house. I can't risk going to work. I mean, I could be killed. Sounds a little bit like how the socialistic agenda in America has tried to use the coronavirus to keep people from going to work. I can't go to work. I could get the virus. I could be on a ventilator. I could die. I can't trust the Lord. I can't be responsible and take care of my family the way God designed it. I need an alternative. And unfortunately, too much of America is not willing to discern the socialistic agenda creates a very lazy and unfulfilled society. We've seen that evidenced in history. We actually can look around, especially at Venezuela. We can actually even look at our own Indian reservations and find that when everything is handed, they just don't have purpose, and alcoholism and drug abuse and violence and all of these things tend to take place when people don't have a purpose, when they don't have a responsibility. I think part of the reason we saw so much uprising and so much protest and rebellion and anarchy is because of the fact that people were getting $600 plus unemployment to sit home, and they just needed something to do. And I think that's where God is reminding us, listen, there is a right path, there's a wrong path, but there's a path of responsibility. Make sure you're being responsible. Make sure you're doing things God's way. And then he talks about being very careful not to fall prey to immorality, that which would appeal to your flesh. And then he ends with an illustration. He gives it twofold. Rich people who take advantage of the poor in order to get more money, or poor people who bribe or blackmail rich people in order to get their money. Both of these alike God abhors, and both of them will actually come to consequences, ultimately maybe even coming to poverty, and certainly spiritual poverty. And so God gives us that illustration. But let me just close with the transition that we're going to be going to in verses 17 and 18. He's really going to say, okay, here's the path of wisdom. So bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in thy lips. And so we're going to be looking at, really over the next couple of chapters, God is really going to outline this path of wisdom. And he is really going to encourage all of us to be conformed to the person of Jesus Christ. I hope that's an encouragement to you. Choose the right road today and every day. May God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.